we won't solve anything by stopping AI or stopping using AI, but we can be more critical about it. A lot of things that can be done by humans can also be done by AI. What AI does at the end is learning from a lot of data that a human brain cannot.
Welcome to ThinkBoard, the show for people who want to make a difference. Today, we're here with Cristina. I am Sanni Häkkinen from the Helsinki Think Company Association board, and Cristina here is from Think Company Kumpula team. So working for Think Company. Bienvenida.
Thank you.
So first, a little bit about today. We are going to talk about artificial intelligence and the kind of different implications and uses it may have in our everyday use. And Cristina is here with us today as she has had a lot of experience in using, both in work life, in her personal life, AI in the past years. Would you like to tell something about yourself first?
Thank you, Sanni. I'm Cristina. I'm not Finnish. I come from Spain. And my story about coming to Finland is quite weird. Basically, I studied education in my background. I did a bachelor in education, but I'm not that much of an educator myself. I have this high school teacher that used to call me a Renaissance woman, because I used to do so many different things. So even though I studied education, I've been very involved into everything that is technological since I was very young. I'm also a professional musician. I did theater. So I have all of these backgrounds that are somehow mixed, and I really wanted to find a space that helped me to develop myself in a multidisciplinary approach, not just in one thing. And I was looking about countries in Europe, like to see what I could do after finishing my bachelor. And really Finland has a hub for innovation, in not only in education, but in everything regarding social approach and impact. So I was like, okay, I could see myself moving to Finland. And that's what I did. I found a master that really fitted what I wanted to do. So I'm currently enrolled in a master at the University of Helsinki. That's called Changing Education. But I'm also working at Helsinki Think Company, as you've said, in Kumpula, in the technical team. And basically we help people make things happen.
All right. Thank you a lot for your introduction. In which ways, then, as you mentioned that you've always been involved with technology since early stages, so in which way have we come to the present day in which you're using AI in your everyday life? So when did it start for you?
Yeah, I think it started when I was very young, because I was the typical person that is very good at maths. So I was always doing experiments and doing mathematical things. And I was enrolled in this project for people that were very gifted in mathematics. So all of my previous years before my bachelor, I was basically doing a lot of technical things. I was in projects with programming and doing the Internet things regarding Internet of Things. Really, I didn't study something technological, not because I wasn't interested or I wasn't capable of, but because I wanted to do something more social and more connected with people. So I did that, and when I was doing my bachelor, I started to become a programming teacher to children. So not really the technical part of teaching programming languages like CSS or HTML, but rather teaching them how to think in a technical way, in how to see the world scientifically, to see that we have a problem and then we have to achieve a solution to it. And for me, going through that to artificial intelligence when the boom started was kind of a natural step. So every time that I see something that is technical or technological that is new and interests me, I usually go for it and just learn from it. I think we should all learn about new things all the time. So when the boom started and ChatGPT was released, and it just started to be in everyone's conversations, because at the end, AI right now is in everyone's mouth. So when that started, I started using it for myself, like ChatGPT for work, but also for my personal life. And from then, I transitioned into, hey, I'm using this quite a lot. I'm understanding it quite a lot. Why wouldn't I share this knowledge with other people? So I started doing workshops for people, especially teenagers, which I think they usually use technology a lot, but not in a very useful way. So I started doing public speaking on artificial intelligence, especially in Spain. And I also brought that knowledge into Think. So we had in Cumpula an event regarding AI last spring. And here we are now.
Yes, wow, thank you. Very impressive. I actually did not know about this long history you have with the workshops, even back in Spain, even. So really that brings us to the focus of today with AI, which is that how do we navigate in the world of AI and all of the new innovations and the different philosophical side that these innovations and platforms have to them. So yeah, we will maybe start talking about like why is this happening now, and why is everyone using it? What is so good about it? So really, like, what are the good parts? What are the opportunities in using AI in be it everyday life or for professional use? With the time being, and surely we're mostly talking about the most used platforms right now, ChatGPT, of course, and also there's Bard by Google. Bing has something as well, if I'm not mistaken, and then Midjourney and DALL-E for pictures. So those are like we're really talking about the ones that everyone has access to. Yeah. So thinking about the opportunities, what kind of opportunities could one have in their like personal life, like organizing just your, I don't know, like shopping list? What kind of things? Just if you say a couple of examples, what comes to mind?
Before that, I really liked what you said beforehand at the end. It's such a powerful tool. And I think the power behind it, because at the end we've had a lot of technical revolutions. So when internet came, and when the TV came, and even when the radio came. So what really makes this different is that AI tools can create narratives. At the end, human history has been shaped by the narratives people create. So such as religion, but also science, and the empires have risen and fall because of the literature and the narratives that we create as a society as a whole. And AI has the ability to create those narratives. So it's such a powerful tool that can really shape like society. And I don't think we are sometimes aware that it's such a strong tool when it comes to speaking the same language as we are, because at the end, computers or the internet speaks a different language, and we have the language of computers, which is programming, but AI uses the same language that really can influence everyone. So yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges, but of course there's a lot of opportunities, what you said. When it comes to my personal life, I basically use it almost every day for every task that you could imagine. So I like to travel, and I use ChatGPT to ask them about ideas for my travel plans or to make me budgets. And one thing that I do sometimes is, when you have this information and you want to make it into a table or something in Excel, for example, and you have to do that technical word like with your own hands. But ChatGPT gives you the opportunity to simply do it automatically. So it basically automates any process that could make you spend time that it's not really creative or useful. So 3 days ago, actually, I have a list of films, and I was like, hey, I could do an Excel on this and then take data out of it so that I can see how many movies I see every year. And then I was like, hey, can you make me a table out of this? And it creates a table, and then I just copy it, and then you have all the information. and that's a simple example, but I use it for almost everything. Also, when it comes to writing things down, especially I'm a very creative person, so I usually write a lot. And when I know that I want to let something out and speak about something, but I don't know how to start, usually ChatGPT gives me a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, sounds like really nice examples. I hear stories about people using it for recipes or like planning children's parties, things like that. But this was a couple of refreshing examples as well. So you told some examples about, these are some very good examples from your personal life. Then how about your life at the university, your studies? That's a hot topic, of course, and surely every single university in the world, latest this year, has released a policy for using the AI, but surely, like, you probably used it to get some inspiration.
Yeah, for me, it's basically everything that has to do with inspiration. I know that AI is not going to do the whole work for me, even though it can. It really can. Like, you can ask for an essay and it would do it. But for me, that's not as good as I could do by myself, but it is kind of a template that can help you. Especially for me, it comes with organizing myself. I'm a procrastinator at university. I'm super bad at doing things on time. So usually when I have a big essay, it's very hard for me to see that I need to spend time maybe on 3 different days. But if I just create a plan on ChatGPT, or maybe, hey, I have this idea, which is the kind of index that I could create for an essay, it really gives you a lot of good ideas, especially to start.
Yes, sounds good. I especially like the fact that you still do think that you write better essays than AI. That's pretty good. Then surely at work, at Think Company, you're probably using, well, in addition to actually doing things in order to teach people, like organizing a workshop to use AI, but surely in your day-to-day working life, you probably do utilize it.
Yeah, I kind of use it quite a lot. And this is something that it's very open. And actually there's a lot of people in Think that have started using ChatGPT and AI because of me seeing me using AI. And basically, what we do in Think has to do a lot with organizing things and management of projects and tasks. So everything that helps you do those tasks faster, or maybe processes that could be very automatic, you could do them faster by AI. For example, for me, it helps me quite a lot when I have to maybe send an email and I don't know how to start or how to do it. It gives me a template, but also sometimes it helps me review things that I've already done. So when I have to write copies for Instagram, for example, for our socials, maybe I write something and I want to put emojis, but I don't know which ones, or I don't want to spend 5 minutes just looking for emojis. So sending the copy and say, hey, add me emojis on this. And it really gives you great emojis. I think on emojis, ChatGPT is quite good on it.
Sure, emojis are like one very, very important part of creativity in our everyday life these days, really. And surely I would imagine that you do use it for translation purposes in your work life, because you even though Think Company is mostly like, a lot of the communication also takes place in English, but surely there's a lot of documents and things to go through in websites that are still only in Finnish. I would imagine that that's something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've also used it. I'm learning Finnish at the moment, still a work in process, but I've used it also for helping with my Finnish. And at the end, English is also not my first language. So when it comes to grammatical things, I never went to English class. So I really don't have that strong background of learning the grammar of English. And it helps me if I need to write something that it has to be written properly to help me with that.
Yes, surely. Actually, I have to say personally, I admit that I have only ever sent my first prompt to ChatGPT like some 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So I'm a newcomer myself, but been actually like studying like different platforms recently. And what I noticed is that there's definitely differences in their Finnish skills. That's what we always have in like you can never really trust a good translator in Finnish. There's always like some mistake. So also ChatGPT does get caught for not being a native Finnish speaker. Then you organized this workshop for like the entrepreneurship society. So can you give a couple of examples if you're you're a startup entrepreneur, for example?
Yeah.
So can you list some things in which you could use AI prompt or like some prompts that you could give for your business?
At the end, entrepreneurship is basically bringing a solution of a problem that you're seeing to life and seeing if that solution is actually feasible, but it's also something that people need. So everything that has to do with ideation of several options, usually ChatGPT is very good at it. Like, hey, give me a list of 15 different names for this. So every creative process that comes with building a company, such as creating the name, but also thinking, is this a good option? Give me other possible solutions of this problem, and creating a business plan that at the end is a super long document that you need to be able to create a business, but maybe you don't know how to rephrase this. And even asking ChatGPT, hey, can you help me? What should I do if I want to start a company? So just asking ChatGPT that, or I mean, I'm saying ChatGPT because that's the one that I use the most, but any AI program. A lot of things that can be done by humans can also be done by AI. So creative processes, especially when it comes to ideas of names. But also something that I really like is when you have a problem. So imagine you're like building a company and you're in a stage where you're looking for maybe funding from VC or another problem that you're facing at the moment, and you don't know how to face those people, but you have a lot of background on those people, or maybe you know all the practical information, but you don't know how to use that information for the thing you're needing. Really, ChatGPT and every AI tool is working on a lot of data that you don't know. So it's going to help you on data if that's accessible for the internet. What I'm trying to say basically is that imagine a person that has gone through entrepreneurship 100 times. They're going to know way more than you do as a first-time entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So using AI tools sometimes is like having an expert by your side that you can ask things and they really have more information than the one you do.
Surely, and I think actually this brings an example to me, because we're talking about like creativity and like how creative AI is. So which one is more creative? The human? Can a human being ever be as creative as AI? And also you can, while you're thinking about the answer, I actually like listened to one talk about this, and there's actually some research saying that like AI is so many more times more creative, also because we can never as individuals have the collective memory and the collective like different kinds of like directions to go as AI has at every single given moment. So that could maybe apply to creativity as well, but especially you writing your essays, can you be more creative?
This is a very interesting question and very important because it comes to the root of philosophy. Like, what is creativity? What is humanity? And I think that's one of the reasons why talking about AI is so complicated on so many things. But for me, the opinion that I have is basically AI works on things that already exist. What AI does at the end is learning from a lot of data that a human brain cannot. We cannot learn 2,000 books by heart, but AI can do that. So you have much more data available to be able to learn from it. But at the end, everything exists. Creativity at the end, for me, it's building things that didn't exist beforehand. and AI is not able at the moment to do that. So even though it looks creative, it's only the surface of what you're seeing. It's kind of when someone has a lot of soft skills, so they look more proficient in something that they actually are, because they know how to use the information that they have very well. And that's why AI does. But it doesn't create new knowledge. It doesn't create new information. It just works with words very well.
Okay. So we can still imagine some impossible futures that AI cannot. I don't know. That's maybe one chance there is. But yes, and then next we'll actually think about the downsides of AI. So really, actually, even the creativity part of AI comes like I think you mentioned something about how in essays, for example, you still feel like you can do something a little bit differently. Is that connected to the fact that you just said that it cannot imagine something that hasn't happened? Like how does science really connect with AI before we go to the further down the challenges? I was wondering.
Yeah. At the end, AI is kind of a person that can memorize quite a lot of things. So imagine a person that can go to a library and then learn every book that is in the library. And then obviously they will know a lot of knowledge, but imagine a person that is not capable of connecting the dots between that knowledge. So they just memorized a lot of things, and they could see the patterns in what they said and they read. So AI doesn't create new knowledge at the end. It just works very well with what they know. But right now we're not in the situation in which AI is capable of learning by itself. We always need data to teach the AI to be able for it to work. So at the end, you enter this loop in which the new information that AI is providing is really not new. It's just changing everything that they know. So we might get into this situation in which 20 years later, AI is learning from information that AI created previously, which is kind of a loophole in the sense of not having new knowledge, not having this human creativity that comes with research, with science, with arts, that creates things that didn't exist previously. And that's one of the main things that really, for me at least, it worries me.
Okay, so maybe what AI should next be developed towards is to be more critical of its own thinking, and maybe the fact that how it's limited in the sense that it's just layering up like new information, but then like in combining it, and especially talking about science, say you do a literature review, and at some point, I mean, this is not maybe a likely scenario, but like thinking that every single article the AI machine uses for retrieving that information for the review, what if it's all already produced by AI? Are we then filtering something out, or should it learn how to be more and more critical of its own thinking?
Yeah. I mean, we're asking something that a machine cannot do, at least for now. What is true is that this is a question that is in the developer's mind, in the people that are working with AI. So right now, at this moment, already there are people that are creating kind of a signature on things produced by AI. So you can find on the internet like, hey, this kind of very simple things where you can put text and they say if ChatGPT produced it or if another AI program produced it, just because of this reason, because they think, hey, in 20 years, what is going to happen? I wouldn't know if this web page was created by humans or by AI. And it's true that you can imagine, like, there's a lot of content on the internet that is produced by AI and ChatGPT right now. Like, a lot of users use it.
That's actually a very good point. I never thought it that way. I always thought it's just for people to know that it was written by AI, but really it's even more important for the AI to know, to try and go to the original sources and not to like repeat the same text it's already created once. Okay, very interesting. What about security issues? Going deeper into the challenges, like surely there's a lot, and like surely some of it comes from, especially if you give AI as a material and not for it to like give any given text or well, I think ChatGPT currently doesn't take documents as per se. Actually, Bard actually does. It can just retrieve stuff from your drive. I tried it. It's kind of creepy, but then like surely a lot of it has to do with the material is provided.
Yeah, of course. I think there's obviously a big concern about security when it comes to sensible data. We have a law of this basically because it's very important to keep people's protection. So if you imagine like a company that has information that shouldn't be available to the public and it gives you to AI, who knows what AI can do with that. But for me, that's the surface. At the end, AI is not this big neutral element that exists in our world and that's it. AI is created by companies and companies want to make money. And it is the reason why companies create AI, because of being profitable. So everyone has a reason why they do the things they do. Companies have a reason behind creating AI. No AI is neutral. So if you're giving your data to ChatGPT, it's not ChatGPT as an entity, a neutral entity that lives alone and has his house and his rent. Like ChatGPT is an entity created by OpenAI that says OpenAI, but it's really not open and not open source, and it's literally paid by a company that wants to get money out of it. So I really like this sentence that I see quite a lot, that it's like, if you don't see the product, it's that you are the product itself. That happens with social media. Like you don't see a product, they're not trying to sell you anything because your data is the product.
You're selling yourself.
Yeah, so with AI and ChatGPT and all of the AI resources that are available to the public, you don't see anything being sold because what you're selling is you giving data for two reasons. One, to use the data per se to get money, but second, you're training the AIs that are going to make money afterwards, in the sense that you're giving them more data and you're saying, hey, this works, this doesn't work. So you're kind of, for free, training an AI model that other people get paid for training them.
Surely, yeah, and yeah, the personal security in addition to like some other sensible data is actually a good example. I've heard someone once say that in important life decisions, you should actually ask Google, because Google knows you better than you do. It actually knows true. It knows better than what you want.
Have you tried looking at you like on the internet?
No, I haven't. We can discuss this later. I don't want to know. Maybe
it's crazy, really, what you can find on the internet about yourself.
Surely. What about then, like thinking about the layer, like the implications of the layers that we were talking about, the kind of social implications, because something that is really talked about is, and especially I think this applies to Midjourney and DALL-E, like when you're actually producing pictures, they are very powerful tools and very powerful visual tools. But what are they creating and based on what? And if it can confirm some bias. I think you have some ideas there.
I could talk about this for hours, honestly. I precisely studied education because I think one of my biggest beliefs is everything that has to do with humans. So I see so many social implications that people are often not aware, because you see this technological thing that seems rational and you don't see that at the end it's about a narrative and a world we're creating, socially speaking. So yeah, what you said about Midjourney and every AI that creates images, at the end, images are super powerful. You can see when there's this viral picture of something in a war, and it goes viral because people are moved by images. And first of all, you need to train AI models with something, and usually they're images or paintings by people that don't get money out of it. We have laws that protect artists from them getting their art stolen, but really AI is stealing indirectly art in the sense of using that art to teach an AI how to create art. So if those artists stop getting money because the AI is producing the art in general, at the end we're not going to have enough art to be able to train the AI models. In the sense that if people, instead of hiring an illustrator to create their logo, they're just asking Midjourney, hey, create me a logo. At the end, we are not going to have any artists because they also need to eat. But also, at the end, like AI mainly is produced by a Western philosophy, a very Western white point of view, and the way we see the world. But it's not the way that people in other areas of the world see the world. So everything, all the data that it's gathering is mainly Western data. It's data from Europe and data from the US. And the companies of large AI models like OpenAI, but also Google that now has Bard, or Bing that also has an AI model, they're all magically Western. So it's kind of the narrative of the world that is creating is Western. It's like if you only went to a library in Europe and you only read books written in Europe about Europe, you wouldn't know that there are people living in other continents. And I'm not only talking about continents, but also minorities. So that's the reason why when you ask ChatGPT to give you a description of a person working in this field, it gives you basically a bias of what that person could look like, and it doesn't look at the minorities. At the end, what they do is be trained with what the majority is, but that's very dangerous because it's not only about invisible, making people invisible, but also about perpetuating what really makes people in danger. At the end, we don't live in an equal world. We live in a world where our people are in danger just for being themselves. And I'm talking about racism, about problems with LGBTQ people, with women. And that's a reality for us. So at the end, if AI models are being trained with the biased world that we live in, we need to remember that all the information that they're going to give us is also biased. They are not neutral, and they won't be, because even though they are machines, they are made by humans, and humans always have a reason behind what they do.
Exactly. That's something I wanted to add as well, that that really it's all made by humans. It's not some neutral magic pill that is going to give you like the perfect world. It's really recreating the kind of world that we already live in. And also here, the fact of layering up. Yet again, if it's using the same narratives, if it's perpetuating some stereotypes, some problematic settings, some certain issues in society, after a while, it's going to just make those stronger and stronger, and then we don't realize to be critical of it anymore because we don't see the source, which we never do, but surely. And then maybe that gets us back to the philosophy of AI, really, like getting really to the deepest end of it before we end our talk, is that really the philosophical side of it. How does it challenge our thinking? That like how should we approach AI? It's not human. It's made by humans, but does it have empathy? How do we really think about it? It really challenges our thinking.
Yeah. AI at the end, it's only another challenge that we have as a society. But we could be talking about something completely different, and we would end up on this. We could be talking about startups, and we could also talk about the philosophy of why the revenue is so important, like what is happening, like what are the social implications of business. But we could also be talking about something completely different, like education. I studied education. And we could also be talking about those social implications because we are humans. That's the root of everything. So everything that we're going to talk about has these social implications. And for me, what I advocate for and what is important for me in my personal life and in the people that I have around me is basically just to be aware. Because we sometimes switch off this kind of mechanism to be aware that everything has implications and that nothing is as easy as it looks like. And that's what philosophy does at the end. It just find these questions, big questions that everyone as a human has. So for me, the stand that I take is we won't solve anything by stopping AI or stopping using AI, but we can be more critical about it. The same way that we can be more critical about social media or about technology or about the way that we do things in our daily life. And just know that we can say something and just bringing the conversation is going to help, because those conversations are the ones that at the end change the world. And if we really are very critical with companies about, hey, you're using your data and you're making a lot of people invisible, they are probably to be more aware of that, and they're going to help to use data that really shows more realities of the world. The same way that literature, for example, in academia is usually very Western. But when you say, hey, you're really making a lot of people invisible, really in academia, it's starting to be a shift because the conversation was recent. So as the same way that a lot of conversations have been rising in the last years, I think this is the way to go, at least for me, in the sense of I think we should be very critical, but also I think that knowledge is power. And if you don't know anything of AI, except for the things you may see sometimes on social media or hear from other people, you're going to have not that many information to be able to make a choice and to be able to know what you're using, really. So that's one of the reasons why I use it, because I want to see the bias myself. I do not want to only read on the newspaper that this is biased, but I want to see it myself. And when you use it, you see it. The same way as when you use social media, you see all of the problems that it carries. So yeah, two things: a critical eye and just knowledge is power, and being aware of the things around you is power.
Exactly. Wow, really, really nicely put at the end. Thinking of the entire conversation now, we went from like having workshops and then using, what were some of your examples, using it for like traveling your plans and things as such, and how really useful it's been also in your personal life, your work life, your studies, and really like when you use it the right way, it can be very powerful. But especially the powerful side to it has that downside, and we've gone all the way to the philosophy of science and and like philosophy of like what is human and like what is it to be creative, and really like how should we look at the future. And I think that what you said at the end was really well put, that yes, being critical, but also especially thinking of the impact AI already has on our life and
Definitely.
is going to have, only by using it and trying it out yourself, is going to get you a little bit further on like understanding of what's going on.
Of course, and making planning trips easier.
Yes, exactly. Both of those maybe at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this talk, Cristina.
Thank you so much. Really, it was very, very nice to come here.
Yes,
today.
and if someone, say in our video audience right now, would like to contact you, can they find you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm in LinkedIn. You can find me. I'm Cristina Valle. Well, it's Valle. It's quite hard because it's a Spanish phoneme. So
yes,
usually
but Valle.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That would be it. And I was Sanni Häkkinen, and this was our ThinkPod episode on AI. What is it really at this point? And please remember to like and subscribe, Helsinki Think Company, and yes, and also surely Think Company Size, where you can find a lot of information about what do we actually do, what do we organize, what kind of entrepreneurship society we have, and there's also Think Company Association that you can join. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone.
Thank you.